Let's hope 3 knocks for good luck, and let's give it a shot. So we'll start off with the any percent any difficulty, which is a full playthrough, all bosses and all that, just on easy difficulty. So it won't be having too much issue with boss RNG. And you might notice for my definition of a try run that I've excluded the normal category, and that's because of the boss RNG. Some of the bosses that we encounter in that particular run can be very troublesome, and it's basically the only category where there's a slight risk of dying. I mean, you can die in all of the categories, but it's really rare for you to actually die in beginner, simply because most enemies will just ignore you, even if you're at like 1 health or whatever. Will be brought low by Pyramid Head, for instance. So yeah. Though there is the health pickup at the Heaven's Night Bar or nightclub that we can pick up. If we do pick that up, there's basically no chance of us dying. Realistically, anyway. Of course, there's always some shit that can go wrong, right? But for the most part, it should be pretty consistent. However, if I wish to win time and save as many seconds as humanly possible, I should skip the nightclub first aid pickup, which is like 2 seconds saved or something like that. But then again, it's 2 or 3 seconds saved for something that you know, that can potentially make us lose the run. So the risk is quite high compared to the reward. So we'll probably end up picking up the first aid. It depends on how the clock goes, I suppose. That's usually a huge decider in these kinds of runs. Because if you're like at world record pace, you should just risk everything. You might die, but hey, might also not, right? Anyway, first trick of the run here. And it was pretty difficult for us to get it. Got it 3rd try, which is the average, I'd say. 2 is good, and 1 is what we want. But getting the text to stick with the auto-saving here, or quick saving rather, can be quite hard to actually do, so. So the goal of the game right now is just to keep that text on screen, which we do by continuously mashing the quick save button. And we want to keep this text on screen so we can activate a glitch up here, which will prevent us from going into cutscenes, as well as preventing the game from activating its different triggers. And that's usually a bad thing, but in this very particular case, it means that we can skip a part of the game, which incidentally will also be like the biggest skip in the entire game. Saves us around 2 minutes, if not more. Alright, we can disable it now. Notice how cars and stuff like that will spawn in once we disable it. I'm still quick saving in order to restore my stamina so I can keep running fast, but if I don't do it while there's text on the screen, game assets are actually allowed to spawn in, of which vehicles is one such game object. But also stuff like key items and monsters and stuff like that, they actually count in some way as a game asset. Monsters and vehicles and stuff like that is pretty obvious, but like you will still, for the most part, be able to see items on the ground even if you're abusing the trick, with some exceptions. But even if you can't see them, usually their trigger, you know, when you walk out to them and press the action button, it won't work. Alright. So yeah, we reached the apartment buildings after 5 minutes, which is what we want, so so far we're doing optimally. Hitting that door on the way back is actually the hardest thing about that room, in my opinion. The flashlight can also be tricky, especially with 2D controls due to a hitbox that you need to hit. But for the most part, I'd say it's the door that's the issue. Here you lose seconds climbing the stairs due to camera angles and what do you call it? Bumping into like the railing and stuff, which you obviously don't want to do, but that hitbox there with the handgun can also be very troublesome. It's at least one of the hitboxes that I most frequently miss the first attempt. Here I'm doing a trick, I'll explain it after I do it. There we go. So right before activating the cutscene to get the key, or rather get the a cutscene trigger with where the key's kicked away from you, I also switch to the handgun just as I'm about to hit the railing. You know, that's the most optimal time to actually swap weapons, because I actually lose movement speed when you try to do it. And the reason why we want to do that trick at all is because we do a skip of a minor cutscene where Barrett hears like screaming, and afterwards we want to run down this hallway, but now we're in a soft block state where we cannot actually go through the door. In order to get out of it, you have to aim at Pyramid Head, who just happens to be on the other side of the railings there, which gets us out of that soft block state. In order to do all of that, we need to be equipped with the handgun. That's actually the cleanest I've ever done that room, so the camera angles were really cooperating there. Alright, now is when we learn whether this clock is gonna be good or not. I should have reset my splits completely, but we'll just roll with this. This is a decent clock. Just gonna do like this, splits, and be over with it. So far we're doing great. I have seen better clocks in these runs, but it was actually alright. Alright, so we've got everything we need from this part of the game. I basically just need to pick up a 6-pack and then return to the opposite apartment again. First though, we have a bit of stair descent. It's not too much of an issue in 2D actually. These stairs are much worse with 3D if you ask me. You'll be hearing me talk about 2D and 3D a lot, and basically all that means is what kind of control scheme I've got. The game allows what's called a rotational style or a directional style, or in other words 2D or 3D. 2D was discovered to be the fastest by a runner who goes by the name of Super Gamer 57, and after that discovery I went like to 2D controls myself. Up until that point I've always been running with 3D. Not that it wasn't like a choice for me, I just never knew there were 2D controls in the first place, so never really gave it much thought. You will hear that a lot of runners have issues with this control scheme, to some extent, me included. So it gets a lot of shit, and many people actually refuse to run the game with these controls. But then you might ask yourself, but it's the fastest way, right? So you don't really have a choice, and that's correct. You really don't, and that's why some people have stopped running the game. Here we do a weapon swap in order to skip the drop animation. Last time I fell right back into the pool here, which was very unfortunate. Fortunately, that did not happen again. The biggest obstacle I'd say about this category is what's called auto-aim. And on the lower difficulties, when you press the action button, Barret would actually aim at the nearby monsters. So if you're trying to go through a door, pick up an item, and there's a monster nearby, you will see him aim at the monster and even attack instead of picking up or going through the door, which can be in itself really annoying. So, also my bird is a bit talkative today. I don't know why. Let's see how it develops. If it becomes really bad, I'll shut her up. That sounds more brutal than it is, but she's just happy is all. So this apartment building is pretty simple. It's mostly movement. There's one particular room that's really an issue for me. There's a demonstration of the auto aim issue. It's coming up in not too long. There's actually two annoying parts to this area. The first one is this one over here, which is the coin puzzle for the second puzzle of the game, I'd say. Right here. Sometimes you don't hit this hitbox. And even if you do, you still have to do this. I'm using a combination of the controller and the mouse, which I feel is like what works for me, but okay, the mouse cursor was actually moved all the way to the top again, which means I shouldn't have relied entirely on the controller, which is slow. Here, I have to move the cursor all the way to the right, so I'm going to use the mouse for that. So it is the fastest way of doing it. There we go. So that's the puzzle down, but there's one more room that's a nuisance. And we're approaching it right this moment. It's the next room. That's the wrong way. It's this one here. This room. This is movement. This is really tough. And I'm doing my absolute best to get through this room. And 2D is actually just as hard as 3D for that room, so due to the room having a lot of different camera angles. So that was the boss fight. Pretty simple, as I said. Bosses aren't really an issue in beginners, so we'll be doing our split right after we go through the door down below, the same way that Pyramid Head is using. And we'll be able to see what kind of time we can get. Judging from the split right now, probably a 7-second lead or something. Let's see. Yeah, was pretty accurate. I'm making some minor movement mistakes, but that's to be expected. I'm only 20% converted to 2D control so far, so there's still a lot of work that I have to put in. Ricky getting excited, boys. Anyway, a Ricky Dancer swag for you, Bounding Grey, cause you host. Thank you so very much. Even my bird is happy. Anyway, the remaining part here is not that difficult. It's just a bunch of running and some rooms that we have to memorize and go through. So, but there is actually one very important note that I do have to mention, and that's there's a steel pipe coming up. And since this is the any difficulty, it's really crucial that we pick it up, or else we won't be able to finish the run. You won't see me do that for the next 2 categories that we're going to be running. Hey Bounty, what's up? Or should I say Barrett? I can't actually hear Maria's footsteps. That's a bit concerning. But she was there. I guess we were really far ahead of her or something.
Did you find the lake you're looking for? What's her name? Mary?
Not too great movement there. Well, I always do it the same, so I'm consistent, but I can improve that room by half a second or something like that. But then again, half a second, right? Now comes the decision that I was talking about in the beginning, whether to pick up the first aid kit or not. It's a 2-second decision. It makes the run incredibly safe. It loses 2 seconds, so it's a trade-off. I will be picking up the first aid. Yeah, it's this pickup we do right now. This pickup there. We can just not do it, but it's safer to pick it up since we can heal immediately after taking damage from Pyramid Head. Though there is a second first aid kit, which is actually way more close to us. But it's a more difficult hitbox in my opinion. So if you really fuck up your hitbox, it's not as useful. See if we can hit these hitboxes in movement here. I want to skip this text here. I want to press X once and then save. There we go. And you skip the entire document. Ah, wrong way. That's a second. We'll try and make it up. Shotgun, needle, let's go. And now we want to pick up the key and get the first password. That was the key and some shotgun shells, and over here is the first aid I was talking about, as well as the first password. 3727. Or 3427 rather, sorry. I already forgot it, because oh well. This is gonna be a small time loss here, because I have to do this. I really should write it down. 3427, okay, it was that. I was just doubting myself. 3427, the first one. It's way slower to write them down than actually practicing some memorization techniques. There's the the auto aim issue. Got to see it firsthand there. But I want to be safe, because trust me, I've actually lost runs to forgetting the passcode. Ever since that happened, I've been writing it down. And back here. And like that. Here comes the second passcode and we'll heal up. Alright, the second passcode is... Come on. 5524. It's actually a really hard password that we just got. 5524 is what I believe. But it could also have been 85 or 65. And it could have been 29. So we just have to keep that in mind. Where's my game? There it is. But I'll do my best and let's see how it goes. Slight body block there. Nothing too major, however. Alright, so 3427. And a 5, and a 5, and a 2, and a 4, maybe a 9. It was a 29. Okay, no problem. As long as we were prepared, so as I were, it's no problem. Actually, I need to fix something. My mom has gone full retard, so hold on a second. There we go. My door to outside was open. That means if my bird decided to fly that way, it was goodbye bird. Alright, go to the first floor, not the second floor like last time. Thank you. Shotgun. There it is. Alright, boss fight time. You see how it goes. That might have been bad. No, that was perfect. There we go. Alright, decent splits so far. Now we want to go to the second floor. Pick up these key items. And then back to the third floor where we will be accessing the staircase. I was looking away and then the camera angle decided to change, so I got punished. I thought I was at the right angle there, but apparently not. I wonder why he stops up like that. I gotta adjust my movement for that part. Come on. Some of these hitboxes are weird. You think you're there, but the game is like, nope. Hold on a second. Yeah. She took a shit on my microphone. Lucky I'm in the middle of a speed run right now, else I'd punish you for that. I need to change this shirt soon anyway, whatever. I don't really have any toilet paper nearby. we go. So I've changed all of my splits. Basically, I only want to split where there's a load screen, so I don't waste any time or risking any time having to focus on splitting rather than execution. So I hope that's gonna help out. We'll see. Alright, this part. Oh, I actually messed it up this time. I usually don't. Oh well, it's the first one of the day. What can you do? I was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Was off to a bad start, but I immediately recovered, so yay me. So the only drinking pause I'm gonna get is basically the elevator, and right now I can't fucking wait. Because that ice cold water over there looks absolutely amazing right now. Oh, this is actually drinking break as well. Ah, oh, that hit the spot. Those weird sounds you're hearing is my bird climbing around on its cage. Just in case you're wondering what the fuck that is. She's on a little adventure right now. Alright, this is the longest running part, and there's not much I can do to shorten it. Unfortunately, we just have to bear with it. There is some execution to this part right here. So below us we have some creatures that's hanging from the grating, and if you switch, I have to quick save here. If you switch off your flashlight, it won't spot you as easily. But at the very end of this hole, you have to switch it back on in order to unlock the door. And also, you don't want to be mashing X because you risk auto-aiming at the creatures. So immediately after going through the gate, you want to switch your flashlight off again. Try to read the map with your flashlight off. You'll get this arrow text saying it's too dark to read the map. And we can actually stick that to the screen like this, so we can do a reverse shadow skip here. Because that trigger from the shadows cutscene that we skipped, it's still here because the trigger is also coincidentally what removes it. So. And since we never get the trigger, we never remove it. So there's that. Can't see shit right now. Alright, got it. For that part there, you gotta hit an incredibly tight hitbox. Then you're gonna switch on your flashlight again so you can actually pick up the wrench. Switch it back off so you can get this text back on your screen and proceed through the trigger once more. And that's the third and last time that we have to do that. So good riddance. Huh. If you had a sharp eye there, or if you like rewind the video, you will see that as soon as I allowed game assets to spawn, which included, as we've already talked about, vehicles and monsters, but also if you pay close attention to the signs, the street signs, they are actually also a game asset that spawns, which we can prevent with the text on the screen. And that's actually interesting. It doesn't apply to all signs, only the one that has street names on it. And my theory is that all of the streets, from a programming perspective, they have like a variable name. So like if it's Nathan Avenue, for instance, it will be called Nathan Avenue as a name in programming terms. And it will read like the street's name and then put it on the sign. So since we prevent the program from actually doing that, no signs will pop up. That's my theory anyway. That's pretty slow menuing there. I forgot which button was which. I tend to do that a lot actually. Okay, completely balls up the movement there. So now we're coming up on the museum. We have around a 40 second sprint here. So as for the time, I'm gonna say it's an 11. Nah, it might actually be more. Let me check here. Might actually be a 20 second or something. I'm not sure. This is weird. Yeah, well, 20 seconds is starting to seem about right. But it's nothing though, we can lose all of that to Arsonist. Or Hangman Puzzle, or whatever you want to call it. Speaking of which, we will need to start thinking about which Hangman that's the correct one. The last two runs it's been number 5 and we've been guessing number 4. Should we be guessing number 5 today, or should we say that the game has moved on? That's the decision that we need to make. I really doubt it's number 5 for a third time actually, so but which one would it be instead? That's anyone's guess. Let's see. If we skip the falling animation again. Come on. It's still annoying because for some rooms I'm still doing 3D control strats, even though we're on a different control scheme now. That's actually annoying. Hopefully that's something that we'll stop doing eventually. I lost some momentum there. That's too bad. This doesn't seem right. Oh, it was. Okay, never mind. It was just how the camera changed that confused me. You know, a lot of this is actually down to muscle memory and visual cues and whatnot. So when they mess up a little bit, you'll be thrown for a loop. There are monsters here, so again, be careful with the auto aim. Don't mash X. You want to make sure you're in front of the door that you want to go through, basically. And also, in order to avoid being spotted by the creature, I manipulate my camera, or my flashlight, I should say. Every time I run past them, I basically just switch it off. Just so we don't risk him standing at the door and blocking us. And that's seems to be the prison done now. Coming up is where the game likes to freeze a lot, though. It's right after this door. This door here, it likes to freeze when I go through this door. Alright, not today it seems. Oh, that's nice. So we lost a little time in the prison overall, due to me losing my way. Well, I was thrown off by the changing camera angle, because this elevator ride is about 50 seconds, or around a minute actually, if not a little more, and we had like 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock, so this is probably gonna be at 20 seconds or something. Cheers. Yeah, definitely a time lost. The question is how big. Yeah, slightly more than the 20 seconds I anticipated, but pretty close. So we lost around 5 seconds to derby movement. That's what happens. We'll either lose a lot more to the hangman puzzle, or actually we can also win time if we get it blind. Hello? Yeah, I'm gonna lose around a second there as well, maybe a little more. Some of this movement is really tricky. Come on, stop turning around. Gotta be really careful with the hitboxes here, so it's actually worth slowing down to make sure you pick up the wire cutter before you go down the ladder. It's so easy to do it the opposite way, and that just loses like 4 seconds. The camera is being really derpy there. That was actually really annoying. I think that's the most consistent way to do it. Just shoot him 3 times and then move on. By the time he reaches corpse, he will be dead, so you can run right over him. Slight body block there. This part here is much worse than normal though. Let's not make the same mistake from yesterday here. Alright, I think we're good. Alright then, Blind Arsonist. I'm gonna go with... you know what? I'm gonna try 5. Just because it's been there twice in a row. So that would be this one. It's not... the game is gonna troll me. It's not gonna be 5, but still. It was number 1. That would have been my second choice. If I did talk about how it's not gonna be 5 3 times in a row. I need to do choose another one. I would have chosen number 1. Oh well. It was down to a 50-50 and I made the wrong call. I never get Blind Arsonist anyway, so... Alright, time to deal with Eddie. We've already switched out to the shotgun, so we're ready for him. Eddie is a 2-shot fight, basically. He's got 2 phases and then it's 1 shot each. Though you have to stand very close to him for the second phase to get the 1 shot. For the first phase here, just hold the fire button. And go through. Now step close to him and then fire. I messed it up. I stepped like 1 or 2 steps too much towards him, which means he gets the first attack rather than I do. It's like a second lost, so it's not catastrophical, but it's not optimal either. For this part, you just want to hold right on the analog stick for like 2 of Barrett's movement, and then release, and then start pointing forward on the analog stick, because he will continuously turn towards the right while moving forward, which is the optimal way to gain movement here. And the goal of this mini game is to row towards the light. Alright, we're coming up on the only out of bounds glitch that we do for this speed run. First we gotta pick up a key though. This key right here. Always gotta shoot Laura. Switch off your flashlight, go down these stairs, try to read the map, activate the text, go out of bounds. I move towards the right here after climbing the stairs, and then I aim the full stop at this corner here. The full stop in the sentence at the corner of the room, and then I have like a slight right angle which I just run towards. And we have to run like this for quite a while until hopefully the camera will change into a room. The camera will be inside the room looking at us from inside, and we can't see ourselves. If we see that, then we've done it correctly. If we don't get it and just see this forever, we didn't do it properly. This is what we want to see. And then you want to drop down here and do a animation cancel. And that skips having to deal with the freight elevator and Blinar's briefcase. Speaking of blind briefcase, if you guys want to guess the word, even though we're not going to do it blindly, just see who was right, go right ahead. If you don't know the words, you can do an exclamation mark BC and it will tell you. And just post your answers. I'm going to be guessing mist. The way that we avoid actually having to guess the word blindly without knowing the word is by picking up the thinner. And for this route particularly that I'm using, the thinner is like right next to us thanks to the out of bounds glitch. Though if you go blind arsonist without out of bounds and not blind arsonist, blind briefcase without out of bounds, and you get it right, it's much faster than this route, much faster. So is this something you gotta figure out for yourself? Which you prefer? I prefer doing it like this. Alright, so the briefcase over here. I think I missed it. No, I got it. Cool. Can't see shit. Slow camera angle there. As I said, I'm gonna guess that the word is missed. Let's see if I'm wrong. I don't have to pick up the freight key over there. I'm gonna skip that little thing. Thinner. Reveal the word. It was kill. So I would have been wrong. And I would have known just from looking at the starting position of the letters here. It will never start on the very first word that's punched in already. It will never be one of those words since mist starts with an M. That's not one of the possibilities. So I would have known without even trying. I feel like I didn't pick up the juke music box thingy. But I did. That's all three of them. And do not press circle for this final one. So I will be, from now on I will be doing the split when I go through this door here, like that. So it's gonna say it's a 2 minute, but that's a lie. It's not a 2 minute. Hence, I should have deleted all of my splits before I started, because I've pretty much got a new split layout. That ampule is actually not necessary. I don't know why I insist on picking it up. Remember when I did this part first casually? The music really got to me here. Damn, did the music get to me. Oh, come on. Let's hope these guys play nice. Oh, that was close. Let's do this. Phew! A bit risky there, almost took a hit from the right, but I should move closer to him, even if I take the one hit. It's a 2-shot kill. I forgot to split on Pyramid Chan.
What do you want, James?
So we're coming up on the final boss now.
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers.
I should do my splits right after dealing the final blow to the Pyramid Head, while they have that weird hold on, I need to concentrate for this. This is really important. Come on. Guys, we've got to go back to 3D controls for this part, because for some reason James is retarded with running upstairs. So 16 seconds ahead. Let's see what kind of time this is. That's a 43:47.